Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to put out a follow-up review for you all on the SBD 10mm belt. I have had several requests for this video since my initial review and unboxing that I did of this belt, and I really just wanted to sit with it and take some time using it in my own training and share with you kind of some follow-ups on strengths and weaknesses towards going with the 10mm belt rather than the 13mm belt, along with how I'll be using it in my own training. So overall, my impressions from this belt very much match what my first impressions were, in that the construction quality is top-notch, and I would expect nothing else from SBD. All of the material, this leather here, the suede on the inside, is very soft, has a great reddish coloration to it. On the edges of the belt, they are nice, and I'm guessing they use some sort of wax to make this smooth around the outside. And the quality of the outside leather is top-notch as well. And after using it for, how long has it been? I'm going to say it's been about 6 weeks is my guess, give or take. You can see hardly any signs of wear on this belt, right? If you look, and I use my equipment kind of hard. You know, I'm not one of those people who's going to throw a belt around or get passionate and like sling a belt across the gym. That's not my style, but I carry this through the weather to and from the gym, and then I also use it in the gym. A lot of people may not know this, but I wear my belt for every single squat and deadlift that I do, all the way from 70 kilos up to some squats over 350 kilos. Now, how I've been using this, and I mentioned it in my initial review video, and I do have to say this, because I am approaching our national championships here with Powerlifting America, I haven't been able to do a 100% switch to the 10mm belt. I still use, I have my old 13mm here that I still use for my heaviest lifts. And for that reason, you know, my first couple weeks, I did use the 10mm for my heavy deadlift. I did not use it for my heavy squats because I am a creature of habit, right? And I have my 13mm belt. I've had it for over 7 years at this point. I got it in 2016 with the initial rollout of SBD belts. And full disclosure, while I am sponsored by SBD now, I paid full price for this belt out of my own pocket, and I wouldn't have it any other way, right? So understand, I invested in my belt before I started working with SBD. Now, with that said, I have put a decent amount of mileage on this 10mm belt, mostly with my accessory squat days and my accessory deadlift days. And like I said, I did use it a little bit for my competition deadlift day early on, right before we were so close from nationals. Now, the big takeaway here, one, the break-in period for this belt is way shorter than a 13mm belt. I still remember early on with my 13mm, I had bruised ribs from it. You know, essentially you get this belt, it's a circle, and you're trying to fit it around your body, which is not a perfect circle, and it's going to resist that formation, right? So over time, you're going to get that belt to fit you, but the thicker the leather, the longer that break-in is going to be. And with this 10mm belt, I had none of those issues. Now, with that said, there's not nearly as much clear formation to my body. You know, this is still a relatively uniform piece of leather. You'll see here it has started that break-in process. But when you compare it to my regular belt, you know, this is formed to my body and it basically fits me like a glove at this point, which is partially why I'm so dedicated to this belt. Now, as far as utility goes, I can totally see where the extra 3 millimeters, and if you double that up, it's going to be 6 millimeters, so basically a little over a half of a centimeter of difference with the belt can actually enhance deadlift leverages. And I can feel that whenever I deadlift. Now, I'm a little too set in my ways. Like, I have gone back to my regular belt for this lead-in for nationals, and it is simply because I don't want to change anything up so close. But after this nationals run, I could see myself using this 10 millimeter belt a lot more, and it could potentially become my main belt for competition deadlifting, especially if I stay a little heavier, because things like your stomach and your legs get in the way, and if you have a little bit of more belt clearance, then that's going to help with your leverages. And keep in mind that I do pull conventional, so that's certainly going to make a difference. Now, as far as my other days of lifting when I have been using this, I really enjoy this for pause squats. So when I was doing a safety bar pause squat, the buckle on this 10 millimeter belt is way more rounded. So I don't get the bruise on my quad that I normally would for any other pause squats using my 13 millimeter belt. So that's an upside. And also the belt itself has a lower profile. So any movement where you're going to be basically squished on top of yourself or doubling over, such as a deadlift or a squat, especially a pause squat, this will certainly have a benefit. And I can see that for sure. Now, with that said, some of the pros bring in cons, right? Because if it's easier to break in, that means it doesn't break in as much. And I really like how rigid and broken in my 13 millimeter belt is, which is ultimately why I'm going to stick with the 13 millimeter belt for my heavy squats for sure, and then maybe for my heavy deadlifts. I'm not entirely decided. I'm going to keep playing with this. But overall construction quality wise, I would say this and the original SBD belt are 1-to-1. Alright, so overall the takeaway here, if I were to have to purchase a new belt right now, the SBD 10 millimeter belt would be near the top of my priority list. Now, there's a couple caveats. If you are a lifter who is serious about competition, right? You want to compete at the highest level, you want to squat, bench, and deadlift as much as you possibly can, and you are also on a budget where you can only purchase one belt, in my opinion, I would still go with the SBD 13 millimeter belt. Now, why is there a difference in my recommendation here? It is because of the investment and time horizon. So, in my opinion, this is the most supportive belt that is on the market. You can see it forms to your body. For me, it feels way more stable. However, the break-in period for this is going to be much longer and probably a painful process. We're talking probably 8 to 12 weeks until it's fully comfortable. But with that said, it is the most support. The 10 millimeter belt, on the other hand, there are a couple of use cases. One is if you are a more common gym goer, casual would probably be the best word to describe it. You're maybe competitive, but not as seriously competitive. You're looking to lift heavy, but for multiple reps, and you're looking for a comfort factor on your equipment as well. the 10 millimeter belt really shines because one, it's slimmer profile buckle, rounded edges. All of that is going to add to the comfort of the experience while still having the quality of an SBD belt. And then the second part here is it does not need as long of a break-in period, and it's not going to be painful to break in like something like a 13 millimeter belt would. Now, for someone who's in my position, right, and you are willing to spend some money and even possibly have two belts, in my opinion, I get utility from both of these because I get to do my lighter lifting in the 10 millimeter belt, and then whenever things get serious and I'm lifting really heavy, I'm going to use the 13 millimeter belt. So what I would recommend to you all, if you're looking to make a purchase of any lifting equipment out there, what I would do is not just listen to the high-level lifters because they may have their own biases. I'm telling you up front, I've worked with SBD for however many years at this point. I think I'm going on 7 years this year that I've worked with them. I'm hugely biased, but watch what your favorite lifters are doing because we will always speak with our actions because, well, I guess I can't talk for everyone else, but for myself, I will do whatever it takes to lift the most weight. So if you see someone using the 10 millimeter belt consistently in competition, it's probably because they like that belt. And the same thing goes with the 13 millimeter belt. And as you'll see with me, I will be using that belt because I like it and it gives me the best odds of lifting the most weight. With that said, there's always a place for both in your gym bag, and I will certainly be making use of both of these belts in the future. So that's enough of me rambling on. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully it helps you make your decision as far as which belt to buy. And as always, please like and subscribe. Comment down below. Do you like a 13 millimeter belt or do you like a 10 millimeter belt? I'm always curious to hear what you all have to say. And until next time, happy lifting.